Yeah, it's 11 a.m. Welcome everybody to this MirrorSys webinar today on this lovely sunny morning. At least here in Munich, it is very sunny outside, so they're forecasted some thunderstorms, but actually it's sunny, so I'm enjoying the day very much. And I do hope you're enjoying this as well, sitting together with us in this lovely webinar. Today, we are talking about the text channel at Mirasys, the easiest and fastest way to integrate Mirasys VMS with cameras and third parties. So before we start, please, a little house job or homework for you. So if you have any questions during the presentation or during the webinar, please write them down into the Teams Q&A part, and we will answer them at the end of the session. So if you're logged in as anonymous, please write down your email address as well. It might be that I'm not able to answer this question right now. So it would be great that we can give you the answer later on. So the email is essential and required. But first of all, I need to introduce myself. I'm Udo Schneider, and I'm the Sales and Business Development Director at Mirasys in Central Europe. So I'm very proud to guide you through this webinar today, and I hope you enjoy it very much. What would be the contents today? So because of the fact that this is an in-deep webinar, we are not talking about Mirasys itself today, so I do hope that everybody has his cup of coffee in front of him or her and is enjoying this webinar very much. So no MirrorSys information today. We will talk about the integration and collaboration. So the key requirements, why do we need to do this? What is essential for this? Then we will surely talk about the key challenges that we have with integrations. Why is it sometimes very hard to do an integration and to deal with integrations? Then we would see also the different sides. So why is the MirrorSys open ecosystem really worth to have integrations or to communicate with third parties, to collaborate with that? Then we will go into the deep. We will talk about the idea of having these text channels, MirrorSys text channels. And at the end, we will have also a demo. So I will show you on my demo system how it is looking like. So we will not go into the deep as well in this, how to configure this, etc. But we will show you how it is looking like, how you can search, etc., etc. And finally, we will have also this Q&A session at the end. All right, let's start. Yeah, integration and collaboration, key requirements for the VMS. If we have systems today, a collective collaboration, or if a system is working in a collaborative way, then it is more efficient and has a higher value for us. Just giving you an example. So our smartphone is a software ecosystem. What does it mean? So you have a contact app, for example, that is connected to a mail app. So if you want to write a mail, the mail app is asking the contact app for the right contact if you write it down. So and the mail app maybe is connected to the calendar app. So if you create an, let's say, schedule or a meeting, yeah, then it is automatically transferred to the calendar app. So we have multiple apps in a smartphone that are interacting together. So my app for my calendar, for example, I write down when I have a meeting, also the address of this of the partner, and I can transfer this automatically to the map and to the navigation. So and I'm plug in my smartphone in the car into the USB, and then I actively can see, or then I can see that the navigation is guiding me to the partner, to the meeting. And I see also in between during the driving that there is, for example, a traffic jam or an accident, where is the next gas station or where's the restaurant, etc., etc. I can log in, I can book a table or whatever. So this is really a software ecosystem. It works together with different parts of the system as an ecosystem. And so it gives you more efficient and higher value. If we are talking about integrations today, so we see also that integrations are a must. So even for smaller systems, the customer wants to have this better value, this more valuable system. So more easy to use, let's say in that way, or simpler to find the right video footage, or simpler to find the right events. So in that case, we need to have integrations. So if we are having here, for example, some example requirements and possible solutions, we can go through this. So for example, there was a case where I had to match video recordings with localization information in police cars. So to understand, okay, where is this car standing actually, and what is happening in front of this? Or if I have video recordings, okay, where has it happened? So in that case, I was asked to integrate GPS into the GPS data into the VMS. This is just an example. So the GPS data has to be recorded, has to be in the VMS, has to be matched with the video footage, etc., etc. Or if we are talking about fraud detection in logistics centers, just as an example, what could help us to detect if there is some goods stolen or taken off? So for example, in our case, there was one case where we had to integrate or to implement a laser curtain together with the scanner data and match all together with the video footage to understand, okay, if somebody has grabbed or put his hand into the shelf, taken out something, some goods, but there was no scan within a certain time, then create an alarm. So it requires an integration. Access information for faster identification of individuals in video footage. So for example, if you have an access control system, it would be great to have this information into the video system as well, that I see, okay, the dedicated video camera is recording this and this, and I can understand, okay, Udo has put his ID card on this access control panel at that stage, and he was alone, so he was not cheating the company, taking his girlfriend or his wife with him into the IT server room or whatever. And a last example is, for example, following up payment cancellations or friendly shopping in superstores. So in that case, we need to integrate the POS system to understand if there was a payment cancellation or if there was, for example, a bigger package, but a low price. So it could be, for example, they had a TV on the belt, but they was only paying, let's say, a chocolate bar or whatever. So friendly shopping is it called in that way. So all these are requiring integrations. So the key challenges with integrations are, first of all, general speaking, integrations are expensive. I was working for a company when I was talking about integrations, especially in a POS environment. They were asking me, okay, first of all, what is the interface? How big is the project? What is the budget of the customer? Or is there a general requirement for the public market, for the general market? So if you could not answer these questions because it is a smaller project, then you are in deep shit, because then the product manager is saying, no, the efforts are too high or the customer is paying for this. And remember, if for example, the whole system, the video system is costing the customer, for example, 30K or 50K, and he needs to pay additional 30Ks to have this integration, he would say no. So money is the business driver here. So why not to make it cheaper? Then very often we have this interface incompatibility. So we have two systems who try to talk to each other, and maybe you have a very old third-party system which has, let's say, self-designed API on a self-designed interface, not very popular, not very common. So how can they communicate? So this problem is going out right now because more and more the technology providers are concentrating on standards. But again, it could be that there is an interface incompatibility, so they cannot communicate to each other. Why not using standards today, or also making older systems based on standards, newer versions, so that they can communicate on a standard and not anymore on, let's say, home build or whatever interface? Then it could be time consuming. So if you do an integration, so you need maybe you need to touch the software core. So it should fit in the roadmap of the manufacturer as well on both sides. That's the tricky thing. Maybe also they have not enough development resources for that, so you need to wait. So it could take 6 months to 1 year until this integration is ready. So, and you don't want to wait. Then you have the issue of release changes. So there are a lot of technology providers out in the market who are changing all the time their APIs from version to version, sometimes twice, 3 times a year, to enrich it, to change it, etc., etc. And then you are getting a new release of your access control system or whatever, and your integration is not working anymore. So you need to have, again, to spend money to adapt the new version. So this could be let's say a cash cow for sure if you're paid for this, but it's not fair to the customer. And then also conflicts and responsibility. So if there is something wrong with the system after integration, who is responsible? Is it a fault or an issue on the third-party provider, or is it an issue on the VMS? Who is responsible for this? So, and who is taking the responsibility? This is the more important question. In most of the cases, it's not who is responsible, but who is taking the responsibility on his shoulder and saying, okay, I'm trying to deal with that. Yeah, a lot of conflicts. It could be also, I identified this in one of the projects that we had, that the third-party provider is saying, no, I don't want to deal with this VMS because this is in competition to us. And then the customer is again in deep shit. He has decided for this third-party provider, he has decided for your VMS, and now he cannot act like he wants. So I think this is really a personal issue, but it could happen. Yeah. So we have a lot of key challenges that we need to deal with when we are talking about integrations. Why not to make it easier than this? Today's standards are delivering everything that we can take into our toolbox to make it easier, to make it smarter, to make it cheaper, to make it release independent, and not to make it time consuming, but to deliver in time. And now we want to talk about this. Mirasys open ecosystem. This is something that we are very proud of. So we have delivered an VMS into the market, and we're still doing this. We are developing this more and more into becoming more and more an open ecosystem to interact with third-party systems. Surely we can do also integrations to touch the core of the software, to manage a system from out of the VMS like you would manage the system itself. But in most of the cases, in 99% of the cases, we are talking about communication, exchange of data, nothing else. And this needs to be as easy to be done as we can. So we have proven solutions for this in several sectors or several market segments. And you see here also a lot of names. So just go to the camera manufacturers. We have proxy text channels with more and more camera providers to get the metadata out of the intelligent cameras today. So why not to use them? Yeah, or you see also here access control and fire detection. So we have interfaces to interact with them, to get data out from them, vice versa, to send data to them. So, and this must be very easy. How can this be done? Yeah, an open platform is creating optimal solutions by partnering with the best technology vendors. So this is something that is standing for our team. So we are dealing with a lot of technology providers today, and we are not waiting for them to come in to us. if we have a project. So we try to identify more and more technology vendors who could help us to increase the satisfaction of the customers. So we are looking to the right and to the left always, and we are eager to learn new things, new technology that can help our customers in advance to make their life easier. So a software must be like let's say a human body. Yeah. So in a human body, you have these interactions and dependencies between the organism. So your heart is pumping the blood through the veins. It is transporting all the food, let's say in that way, the nutrients that the body needs. Oxygen. He's taking away the carbon oxygen, etc., so that the body is working proper. He cannot do this. The heart cannot do this without the stomach, for example, or the arm. So in that case, the stomach is one platform or one part of the organism that is concentrating on the food to take out the nutrients out of the food. Yeah. So, and the brain is controlling everything. So he's getting feedback from the heart. Okay, I'm working fine. So, or I have some attacks here. Yeah. So he's taking the information from the hand. Oh, it was too hot. Yeah. So I'm burned. So all this information and these dependencies between the organism are collected, and they're collaborating together so that the body could work, could do their job, could think, could live, could have fun, etc., etc. And the same should be with the software. Individual applications are interconnected in some collaborative way. And this is our idea that we are driving and pushing today, in the past, and in the future. Yeah, just to give you an idea of an open ecosystem, why we are calling us open ecosystem, I want to concentrate on this part here, the wide part. The open ecosystem means we have shared control of a system. So multiple systems are controlling the interfaces based on open standards, as I mentioned, so that everybody knows how to communicate with multiple intentions. That means every single system has a different intention to deliver information or to collect information. We have multiple development resources, and this is one of the biggest advantages that we have. So if you would concentrate on Mirasys developers only, so that means you have to wait, because we have our roadmap, we need to develop our VMS to the next version, we have to add new features, we have to do bug fixes, etc., etc. So we have created this text channel, what we are talking about, to make it easy for you as a customer or as an integrator or system house to satisfy your customer or your colleagues, and to create a communication interface to a third-party system to get information out of this in a very easy and very simple way. So you could see that the Mirasys family is growing more and more, the more parties are involved. So if the customer is capable to do this, if the system integrator is capable to do this, if the technology provider or technology partner is capable to do this, and Mirasys, we have a big bunch of, oh, Jesus. This was my smartphone, sorry. Sometimes it's reacting. Where we have stand for, okay. So we have multiple development resources that we can use. And then we have a flexible and fast development because it's based on standards. It is secure, and it is a very simple outside communication. And this all stands for open ecosystem. For sure, a closed ecosystem has also his priority if you have a special case or whatever. But in most of the cases today, even in the production, even in very secure systems, more and more the systems are moving to the open ecosystem. This does not mean that it is open to the internet and everybody could access from wherever, but it does mean it is collaborating with third-party systems in a very simple and a very smart way. Yeah, just give you a small overview about our architecture. So you see the two green dark green stars here on the cameras and devices. So these are the text channels. The text channels are related to our VMS servers, to our slave servers, to the recorders. So every recorder is fitted with 64 text channels that can be configured. So, and that means this is a big advantage. So we can do this also centralized, but in this case, even if the master server is not working proper, the slave server is taking this information actively from a third-party system. And you can fit every single server, wherever it is, with the dedicated text channels that you want to have. So it could be on one side, one server with camera proxies. On the other side, a connectivity to an access control system. On the third server, for example, to a fire alarm or intrusion system or whatever. In total, 64 connections. Theoretically or in practice, unofficially, we can do more, but then we need to change the license in that way. And then you see for sure the lighter stars here. These are APIs that we are using to do a deep integration with third-party systems of our system into third-party systems, whatever you want. Or, for example, for the Spotter client to write a new interface or to write a new plugin or whatever. So this is not the theme of the topic of today. We're concentrating on the text channels. The idea of a text channel. What is the idea? We call it universal data driver idea. So the universal data driver, or UDD, is, let's say, a simple text channel, in total 64 per recorder, that communicate to third-party systems, cameras, iOS, IoT devices, access devices, VCA, POS, a number plate recognition, etc., etc. By the way, this easy LPR is also based on a universal data driver to get the information out of the camera, and vice versa. So what is the idea? The simple text channels are added to the recorder, and the data received through them is recorded. That means we are recording everything that is coming through a text channel. So that means you can review all the information from the text channel that were come in. So that means you understand, okay, when has this information come in to the system? You can dedicate it to a camera, so you can combine it together with a camera that you have the related camera to this as well. Users can search through the recorded data and find associated video streams if you dedicate them together with the cameras or match them together with the cameras, or if you open some additional cameras in that way. The text channels receive structured data and perform validation of this data. So there are two ways. First of all is you receive the data as they are, because you don't need any validation. That means you're recording in a simpler way, the data in a simple way. You have no validation. You don't need to have events or alarms or something like this. The second point is you validate the data with an XSD and XML configuration file. In that way, you have the capability really to dig out those information out of the bunch of information or the stream of information that you want to see and create events out of this. Create alarms, you create messages or whatever you want. You can react on this. And this is the highlight of this text channel. Rules can be defined to invoke various actions. As I mentioned, you can create alarms. The validation rules and actions are defined using very flexible XML configuration files. And no programming skills are required. Yeah, in-deep programming, let's say in that way, because to write an XML configuration file or an XSD validation file, you need to have some knowledge about this, how to do this. But there are a lot of tools outside, and I think most of the IT guys who are coming from the high school can do this, or from the new university, they are able to do this. There are also a lot of freelancers who are giving this, who can do this very fast for, let's say, a very low value of money. Technical details. So the text channel supports the following connection methods: TCP server and client, UDP, HTTP, RTSP, RTP, and RS-232 interfaces. And if you have any other interfaces, I had once an RS-485 interface. There are also tools to transfer an RS-485 into an TCP or an RS-232. So, and then you can connect it as well. The texts, oh, here's a mistake. Yeah, the advanced text channels can be validated through XSD validation or regex or custom data validation. That means a special design or special format, which requires then more knowledge. We use it, for example, for the proxy driver of the cameras, so that we can dig out the data, metadata out of, for example, Dahua cameras or Hikvision or Axis or whatever. So you have flexible rules. Rules can be defined to receive data, and using different comparison operators, you can say and or, XOR, or whatever. And the rules can be triggered to one or more following actions. Like an example, and triggering an alarm, starting recording, pushing a PT set to a preset, or opening a gate, or whatever you can do. Sending text data to the recorder or sending metadata to the recorder. Or if you're using, for example, the universal output driver, this is our message to other third-party systems. You can send out message to a third-party system as well. These are just examples. So we have, for those guys who are really interested in this, and I hope it will become more, an PDF file, which is exactly describing how to do this. And then a guy who is really a little bit familiar with this can do this within, let's say, half an hour, 2 hours. So we have done a couple of X validation files so far. So we have done this, for example, for robotics cameras and for other cameras to take out the information via HTTP. And it was taking half an hour. Maybe in a more complex situation, it's taking 2 hours or maybe 1 day, but not even more. Okay, let's move to the demo. How does it look like? Okay, I have here open my spotter. Yeah, and you see here some demo videos from an exercise that I have done, or a test for a police car. So I have put into one of my cars some cameras. I had a mobile recorder inside, and I had also recorded the GPS information. They are not anymore in the system, but we have here a demo channel TCP via TCP. You see this demo channel also here in my tree, in my camera tree, so you can put them also in here. And then I have here a tool, a nice tool where I can send information to this port via TCP IP. And if I have here Thomas, I can send out Thomas right now, and you see immediately Thomas is arriving, and that's recorded. Because if I'm going backwards right now, Thomas is disappearing. No, he's not, because I have done this before as well. Let's see. Yeah, you see here also other information were coming in before. You see it. So this is always an information that is coming in. What you are not seeing is here any event, because this is not validated. That means it is collecting the data, it is recording the data, but it's not sending this, it's not having any events, because I didn't create any validation for this. So let's go here. So this is how the text recording is working, how the text channel is recording in general. And now you can search into this. So you can here take the demo channel, for example. Yeah, my text channel in the text search, and then you say, okay, either it contains all events, and then I can say, okay, give me all events which have been recorded from this morning to 11, 12, 20. So we up to now. And you see now this information. There was one single information coming in, the second, Max, Elena, Yoshi, Ben, Udo. Then there was a bunch of information coming in at the same time here as well. And then you see also my last information here, Thomas. Yeah, and if you would click on this, if it is dedicated to camera, you would see here the camera which is dedicated to this and the recordings at this time. This is something that I have not implemented right now. What you can do as well, you can say, okay, I want to have text is containing, for example, Thomas, and I'm starting the search again, and he's giving me only this information when Thomas is in the text event. Would I do this with Udo and search again? You would see one single event, then a bunch of information in one event. It is matching Udo because Udo is standing here. Udo is standing here as well, and here as well. You can add a second criteria and say, okay, it should also contain, for example, Susie. Search, then it is giving you only this information when Susie and Udo are matched here as well. I can take this out. Yeah. So this is the text search. Event search is a different thing. If you create events or alarms out of this, then you have here this alarm search where you can search alarms. Also in the text channel. Okay, let's have a look how it is looking in the system manager. So we have here our demo servers, my local recorder and 2 other demo servers, and I have here my text channels. I open the text channel and you see now we have 64 text channels here available. I have here a barcode scanner in the first one. So this is a universal data serial. So RS232. Then we have, we have the second here. This is my demo channel and TCP model. And we have here a Dahua, a proxy model. Let's go to the demo channel first. So I open it. So you see here right now the model that I have chosen. So it could be some generics models from serial UDP TCP. Then we have here some examples, media center remote. So somebody has tried to drive his media center, barcode reader. This was a gas station, UDP and serial, DEPA driver, and PUS driver. Then we have this UDDs here, serial, UDP, TCP, TCP client, HTTP, RTSP, proxy, enriched proxy, HTTP server, and then also Pelco and data interbit proxy model. So you can choose one. I choose the TCP model. I put in here the TCP port, and I said no validation. So you see also here XSD, text, and custom. So I said no validation because, and in that case, I don't have any, and I don't need any configuration file. So that's the easiest way to enter a text channel, and then they can communicate. So in that case, if you have, for example, a text or third party that gives you a weird information like a GPS system, then you have a lot of information. It looks different if we go, for example, to this proxy model. Here you have the proxy model. You have the number of text channels that you want to use. In that case, it's only one. Then you have chosen the proxy service here. So you see here also Dahua, Canon, Bosch AIVA, Agent VI, ARX, FLIR sensors, Hikvision, Optex, Paxton, SPC Bridge. These are the proxies that we have developed and in our portfolio. I know that there are also other proxies outside where we have no access to, for example, the Mobotics as well, and some others. Then you have here the device address, device port, access information, then the incoming TCP port, and then you have here an XSD validation. And here is the configuration file. You write in the configuration file, in the name of the configuration file. In that case, it is the UDD for Dahua API XML. And that's it, nothing else. So, and then the configuration is done. And so you can add text channel by text channel to the recorders. How is such a file looking like? So I have here the Dahua API. So it gives you, first of all, the information of the encoding. This is UTF-8. Then some additional channel information, line feed, clear screen, channel configuration, logging, the validation. So you see also the validation file, the XSD file, which is here over here. So I will show it later on. And then you see also the mapper, you see the constants, you see the types, the different types and the IDs. So you see here video motion, video loss, alarm control, audio mutation, etc., etc. All the information that can be digged out of the Dahua camera. Yeah. And then some additional roles here, some signal lost messages, etc., etc. And that's it. So everybody who's familiar, and I think most of the students are really familiar with XML configuration, can see what is happening here. And here also in the XSD, it gives then the information, okay, what are the elements are looking like, what is the scheme, and how the strings are looking like, so that at the end you can validate after you have configured this here as values, you can set up the information or the content at the end. So this is how it is looking like. All right, so this was a quick jump over our text channels, our text files. So, and I would like to start, my presentation. So let's wrap up what we have seen. So first of all, we have spoken about integrations. That integrations are essential for all the customers to enrich their life, to make their life easier and to make their investment more valuable. I would say even if there is a smaller customer with a small system and he needs an integration, integration is valuable at the end for him because he has some arguments for this. So we have talked about the issues that we have with integrations, with the traditional integrations, which are still valuable, let's say in that way. I don't want to say integrations are not worth to do anymore. They have their value. If we are talking about deep integrations, we are doing this as well. But in most of the cases, it's fairly enough to talk about an open ecosystem, to talk about standard interfaces, which can communicate in a very simple and smart way instead of integrations. So we have talked about the text channel as our way to go, and our way to realize these so-called integrations or communications, collaborations. This would be the better way, would be the better word in that way, collaboration and communication. And at the end, I have shown you how it is looking like in a very, let's say, smart way, in a very simple way. For sure, this is not fairly all of that. So we need to say also that you need to have some certain kind of idea how to configure XML or how to write XML and XSD files. But this is not like if we are talking about integrations to go with the APIs, etc., to have a certain language that you need to speak, machine language, etc. It's much more easy. So at the end, the advantage is really in a very simple and a very cost-effective and in a very not time-consuming way. You can create a communication interface to a third-party system, to a camera, to an IoT device, and get information out of this to enrich your video footage with this, to search in a better way, to give better alarming, etc., and to make your customer happy. Yeah, finally, we are coming to the Q&A session, and I'm very eager to see your questions. I learned that I need to wait for a couple of seconds so that you can put in your questions. There's one question, okay, this text channel, is it enabled in the enterprise licenses? Yes, it is. There is no additional requirement for this. Normally it should be enabled. Maybe on an older system it is not. Then you just ask us for enabling it in your license and then you can work with this. There is also a question about the pricing for the 64 channels. There is no pricing in this. It is content of the standard license. The only thing that we are pricing is if you're asking us for support. In that way, if it is easy to do, just to answer a question, no problem. So we have also our UDD driver guide, so that guides you also through this and gives you the features and the contents, how to design this. But if you ask us to support you in deep in that, then you will be purchased. You will be invoiced by hourly rate in that way. It really depends. If it is a big project, then we do it for free. If it is, let's say, an important project, it depends really from time to time. So sometimes we do it and it costs us 1 hour, then we do it also. If you ask us to do this validation files, to write this validation files for you, then surely you will pay. What you can do as well, just as an annotation, is if you have developed something or you have written an XML file and you ask us for testing it, we will do this as well. Okay, there's also a question, how is it about the versions? You mentioned the version, that it is all very often an issue if the version is changing. So our text channels are version compatible. So it does not matter if you have version 8 or version 7 or version 9, they are always compatible because this is a standard. And then it really depends on what the other party is doing. So for the proxies, for example, I know that the camera manufacturers are enriching their APIs from time to time. Sometimes they are also changing the API, then we need to rewrite the proxy driver. But normally it should be standard today that an communication channel that is once defined should be the same in the next years as well. But it really depends on the third party side. So if they're still playing the game with changing it all the time and having new ideas and completely rewriting it, so then it's really tricky. Okay, there was also a question about the centralized access. If I have only one central server on the third party side, do I need to access from all the recorders to the central site? No, you can do, but you don't need to do. So we have also, how to say, a distribution tool to do it via the master server. So just also to mention, because of the fact that the master server normally is not involved, it does not matter for the recorder if the master server is failing or not. So it is also a chicken and egg story. So if you do it on the master server centralized, you need to take care that the master server is redundant setup. So in that case, via, for example, a virtual machine or 2 virtual machines that are sitting back to back, then you have the certainty that it is working. But in general, it has also an advantage to do it directly with the recorders in that way. Okay, any further questions? No, I think so. We are done so far. So at the end, if you have any questions, if you have any ideas, just let us know. Stay in contact with us and give us your ideas. Let's go into the details. So, for example, my support team, Tero, as the head of support, is also very tough in this, very in deep in this. He knows the answers already always, and he can give you also tips and tricks how to do this. In that case, stay in contact with us. Yeah. At the end, I'm ready. So I would like to thank you for attending this webinar. Thank you for your patience. And I do hope it was a very good, let's say, idea to give you this information so that you can bring this idea also to your customers, to your colleagues, to your partners, to discuss with them what can you do to keep your customer happy, to keep your colleagues happy at the end. We are supporting you in the back end. And I'm also very eager if you stay in contact. If you have any further ideas for additional webinar themes, topics, or whatever, the next webinar will come in, I think, 2 or 3 weeks. And I would glad to see you again. at that stage. If you have any comments, any critics, just let me know on udo.schneider@mirrosys.com. Otherwise, let's stay in contact via sales@mirrosys.com. We are very eager to stay in contact with you, and we are very glad to see you again. So stay healthy, stay tuned, and see you again. Bye-bye. All the best.